On the subject of sleep, if you were to ask my wife, she would probably agree with the woman who described men as portable heaters who snore. And if you were to ask me, I'd probably agree with the guy who said, if you think women are the weaker sex, just try pulling the covers back on your side of the bed. So yeah, there can be a lighter side to sleep. But if you're not sleeping well, it becomes a serious problem, particularly for someone who's concerned about brain health or cognitive impairment. If you're one of those people, I've got a warning for you today, but also a word of encouragement. Because if a lack of sleep is contributing to your cognitive issues, that can usually be fixed. Hi, I'm Tony Deering of GoCogno.com, the website for people with mild cognitive impairment. I do these videos every week, and my favorite ones are always the topics that are suggested by viewers like you. So after a recent video I did on water and brain health, a woman told me, why don't you do something on sleep? And I thought, what a great topic. I can't believe I haven't done anything on it yet, because there's a lot of new research on this topic, and it all points to sleep as essential to good brain health. How essential? Well, let me just point you to one study. It looked at the medical history of more than 2,000 people between the ages of 55 and 90. Among those who had some sleep disorder, typically sleep apnea, the average age at which they developed mild cognitive impairment was 77. But for those who didn't have sleep disorders, on average, they didn't develop MCI until the age of 90. That's a difference of more than a decade. So I really wasn't surprised when Dr. Rudolf Tanzi, who is a Harvard neurologist and one of the country's leading experts on Alzheimer's, recently came out and said that he's completely changed his attitude about sleep. He was asked to name the top 5 ways that people can reduce their risk for dementia. He said exercise is number 1, and pretty much everybody agrees with that. But he went on to say that he used to rank diet and nutrition as number 2, but not anymore. Based on the latest evidence, he now lists sleep as the second most important way to protect cognition and reduce your risk of developing dementia. If you know a little bit about Alzheimer's, you've probably heard about the plaques and the tangles. And the plaques are these beta amyloid deposits that gunk up your brain. So here's 3 things you should know about sleep. First, during deep sleep, that's the only time your brain doesn't make the amyloid that creates these plaques. So the more sleep, the less plaque. Second, during deep sleep, it appears that's when a clear, clean solution called cerebrospinal fluid circulates through the brain, cleaning away toxins, including the toxins that create these Alzheimer's plaques. Think of it like your brain going through a car wash. Third, sleep is when our brain processes and encodes memories. So according to Dr. Bradford Dickerson, a neurologist at Massachusetts General Hospital, that's one reason why people who don't sleep well find it difficult to retain memories. Add those 3 things up, and it becomes easy to see why Dr. Tanzi has changed his view about sleep. Now, he says, religiously, I get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, because if you don't, you might as well be smoking cigarettes or sitting on the couch eating 2 bags of potato chips a night. No matter what our age, we need that 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. And if you're not getting it, that's a problem, but there are solutions. Most of the causes of sleeplessness are treatable. So if you're having problems sleeping, absolutely talk to your doctor. There are also a lot of good tips out there on ways you can help yourself sleep better. Darken your bedroom by closing the blinds. Set the room temperature so it's neither hot or cold. Try to go to bed and get up at the same time every day. Don't watch TV in bed. Don't have electronics, such as your phone, in the bedroom. If you can't fall asleep, don't lay awake. Get out of bed and then go back to bed after a while. And if you're not sleeping well at night, try to avoid napping during the day. Now, obviously, there's a lot more to it than that, and more than I can cover in a single short video. So I put together some resources and some links, and I've also created a 3-page resource guide, which you can download for free. If you're watching this video on my site, GoCogno.com, all that information is below, so just scroll down. If you're watching this video on YouTube, you can get all the information and download the free guide by going to GoCogno.com/sleep. And there's a link to that in the description below the video. Thanks for joining me today. I hope this information is helpful to you, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Until then, as always, be kind to your mind.